Good morning and welcome to Unity in Lynnwood's online Sunday service. This morning, our Reverend Nina Clark will be speaking to us. Dr. Richard, our spiritual director, and Matthew Wilson, our musical director, are both away for a few days of well-deserved vacation. My name is Linda Babin, and I will be supporting Reverend Nina from the platform. As we begin this morning, please join me in a moment of peace. As I breathe deeply, my body relaxes. In stillness, I touch a deep well of comfort, which is my true spiritual home. Please lean into this quiet place with me for a few deep breaths. This is ground. This is center. This home lies beyond time, space, and sense awareness. This peace is eternal. I am part of the great life that encompasses all things, yet lies beyond human understanding. So much noise in our days. Turbulence of every imaginable kind bombards us. My work right now is here in the inner realm where peace begins. To choose peace in the midst of turbulence, I draw on strength and grace. I become peace so that I can offer peace to others as love, compassion, kindness, understanding. The grace that opens me to peace requires opening to and not resisting everything, all of it. On the path to peace, like it or not, I meet pain, fear, anxiety, sadness, anger, so much more. Agitated feelings don't bring peace, yet here they are on my path to peace. This path we all walk, together or alone. But do take heart and hold hope. As I allow the energy to move on through, there are gifts that emerge. When I stare down the monsters and allow them a little space, my possibility thinking and intuition awaken and consciousness expands. So does my sphere of influence. We are blessed right now by the example of many great souls, past and present, who have worked tirelessly for the vision of peace, justice, cooperation, and health of life on planet Earth. Their visions illuminate our path as we listen to their stories. They lend their courage. They belong to us, and we belong to them. Our important spiritual work and the tools we use to access this peace in the midst of all things makes it possible for us to offer hope, encouragement, and compassion to both ourselves and to others now. Every day is a great day to recommit to being peace in the world. Can you hear the call? And so it is. And now I would like to introduce our guest musicians, the Winterlings.
Good morning, Unity in Lynnwood.
Hi.
We are the Winterlings. Very happy to be here with you today. This song is called This Is My Church. Came to blood and slain. Can we grow olives on their graves? Can we answer fire with rain? This is our church. We call it the earth. Hear us, God. Pray as we walk. Pray as we walk.
So pleased that you're choosing to spend part of your Sunday with us today. I've learned that our geography has expanded, so I may not even know your time zone. Nevertheless, we're so happy that you're with us. Pleased to have your company. I want to share an idea that has brought some comfort for me recently. It's something that probably many of us learned in junior high school. It's simply that all living systems move through 3 stages: order, disorder, reorder. There's not much question which one we're in at the moment. The disorder seems staggering. Chaos on many stages, fighting, death, beautiful forests burning, waters overflowing in streets, ruining homes, things falling apart, things we don't like. We don't like disorder. It makes it hard to get our bearings. But I have looked into it a little deeper and realized it's a place of great, great possibility. Here we are, standing, learning to stand, learning to balance on shifting sands so ripe with possibility. Perhaps the best news is that disorder is not the end of the cycle. Part of our work is to help envision a new order that is breaking through, to keep our view on the good that is breaking through the power of our imaginations, through conversations with others, and through listening to others' stories, we spark the creative process. I will finish with a brief story. The story makes a picture, and a picture can be a useful thing to hold in a discouraged moment. It's a story a friend told me about a cabin in the woods. We are here in the Northwest, and there are many beautiful places where people go to get away from a busy life. Often you might bring an image to your mind of a cabin you've been to in the woods near a beautiful lake. Well, this cabin was built probably in the 40s, and a couple bought the cabin. They had a few children, and so every summer the family would go to the cabin for their vacation. And they had so much fun here. There was fishing and hiking, and they played games and built bonfires, enjoyed good meals together. They enjoyed each other's company. Well, they went year after year after year. It became a solid tradition in their family. But over time, of course, the children grew up, and now they have children. And now there are lots of cousins and aunts and uncles, and everyone still goes to the cabin. And they enjoy it as much as ever, building more and more fond memories every summer. And then one winter, when no one was at the cabin, there was a storm in those woods. And there was a lightning strike, and it struck the cabin and burned it to the ground. And of course, when that news reached the family, they were grief-stricken. They loved this place dearly, and it held so many fond memories. It was truly a shock and anguish for all of them. But then they started to remember, after a little bit of time, How many times they'd fallen into conversation that sounded something like, well, you know, we probably ought to update this place. They didn't build enough windows to begin with, and you know that old sloped ceiling, I bump my head on it every night I go to bed. And we have so many in our family now, the dining room table isn't even quite big enough. And so it wasn't too long until they turned their energies into creativity and designed the cabin that they had really started to long for during those summers that they were spending good time there. So there's an rather obvious moral to the story. Perhaps we shouldn't cling to an outgrown past when the time comes to build a new cabin, a new home, a new world we would rather live in. For those of you who have children, I want you to know that there are children's gatherings that go on at the same time we're having Sunday services. And if you would like credentials to access that program, they are available by contacting the program director, Stacy Bailey. Her address is on the screen. And please take advantage of the ways Unity in Lynnwood can support you. Visit unityinlynnwood.org, where you can meet your leaders, read recent blogs, enjoy archived podcasts, enlist prayer support, and even download brochures. Engage with Unity in Lynnwood on your social media platform of choice. You can download the Unity in Lynnwood app, free from both Android and Apple app stores. Click on the Breeze link provided in your chat window and allow text reminders and notifications. And as always, if you would like to stay in touch through periodic email messages, just click on the link provided in the chat window and we'll happily include you. No, we will never share your information. And yes, clicking is also a good way to update your contact information. If you would like assistance with any of the above, please call or email our office. You'll see that number and address on your screen. Our staff are always happy to assist you. Finally, I will share Unity in Lynnwood's mission statement with you. It's quite simple, really. Practical spirituality, welcoming community. We highlight a different aspect each week. This week, I'll highlight bullet point number 2. We seek to discover and share spiritual practices which are repeatable and reliable, and to infuse these spiritual practices into every area of our daily lives.
This song is called Rise. Second verse goes, the Reverend read a verse, the farmer touched the earth. Aren't we all gonna rise? So this goes out to all the Unity Reverends, like Dr. Richard, Reverend Nina, and all the others who are making our lives better. Here is Rise. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whoa! Captain said, amen. The storm looks mighty grim. Aren't we all gonna ride? The Reverend read a verse. The farmer touched the earth. Aren't we all gonna ride? Rise, rise.
Thank you, Winterlings, and thank you, Linda Babin. Good morning, Unity in Lynnwood, and welcome to any guests who are new or who are newer to our live stream. We are so happy that you're here with us this morning. Dr. Richard and Matthew are away on a well-deserved vacation somewhere in the vicinity of Yellowstone National Park. Happy birthday, Matthew Wilson. Feel free to give him a few birthday greetings. Today is his birthday, and he's in beautiful country to be celebrating in. If you have visited that area in person, you know just how beautiful that part of the country is. And as I wandered down my own lane of memories inspired by their trip, a particular pivotal experience came to mind that seemed appropriate to share with you while Dr. Richard and Matthew are marveling in the beauty of that part of the country. And I hope you'll give me a little latitude while I paint the picture which leads to the moment that I want to share with you. So I'd ended up at the south gate of Yellowstone National Park by way of an answered ad in the back of Outdoor magazine. And that job led me to another job the following spring, working in the Teton Wilderness. The job, 41 days in the backcountry, taking care of horses and cooking. While I hadn't exactly lied to get the job, I hadn't exactly told the truth either. When asked if I could cook, I said, sure, out loud, and mentally listed off eggs, toast, and reheating canned baked beans. That was true. Horses I could do. Having ridden for years, that was my comfort zone. But real cooking, let's just say that a brand spanking new copy of Joy of Cooking was hidden in my duffel bag. The hitch? I knew next to nothing about being in the backcountry. All right, let me be completely honest. I knew absolutely nothing about being in the backcountry. And when I say 41 days in the backcountry, the truth is that we could only pack enough food for about 14 days at a time. So the other hired hand would ride out once to purchase groceries, and then I would ride out the second time to purchase groceries, alone. Did I mention that I knew nothing about the backcountry? So we're around 28 days into our trip when my turn to ride out for groceries arrived. I had gained a modicum of experience by this time, and it was with some feeling of competence mixed with trepidation that I saddled up the 3 horses who would carry our supplies back in and balance their loads of outgoing trash. I'll introduce you. I was riding Arizona and holding Dusty's lead rope. He was followed single file by a dun-colored horse named Popcorn, a bay called Colt 45, and a Palomino called Banana. I did not name these horses, mind you. I just took care of them. As we left the Forest Service cabin that was our temporary home, my boss decided to use a shortcut, following some old trail markers, read, faded hatchet marks on tree trunks, which completely disappeared halfway along said shortcut. Being the son of a forest ranger, my boss knew his way around the backcountry like a cab driver in the city, so he struck out in the direction that he knew the main trail to be, and we popped out on that about a half an hour later. He flashed me a wry grin and said, yeah, I don't think you should be going back that way. You think? He then gave me directions from this unknown spot in the middle of the Teton Wilderness to the cabin. Go around that bend, skirt the meadow, up a ways you'll see a fork in the trail, stay to the left. Then you'll cross a creek, and in another little bit, you'll see another meadow, or another fork, and then you'll stay to the right. And then you'll keep going till you come to this meadow, and you just go through that one and pick up the trail on the other side, and then just follow that right up to the cabin. Right. He had smiled, waved, and then disappeared into the trees, apparently following some other trail that I couldn't see. So now it's the next morning. I had made it out without getting lost or seeing a bear, and I'm on the way back in, a city girl, alone with a pack string loaded with enough groceries, AKA bear bait, to last 14 days, following a faded pencil line on a worn map to a cabin 6 hours of steady riding from the road, 6 hours, P.S., no cell phones, through bear country, armed with a small handgun I'd been told to use on myself, should I see a bear. Permit me to flesh out this scene just a little bit more because I want you to really be in this experience with me. 1, in the first week of being in the Teton Wilderness, we had stopped at a fellow outfitters camp, read Big Tent in the Woods camp. A bear had entered politely enough through the tent door, and then after throwing around some cans and spices, had decided to make his or her own back door, a top-to-bottom back door, a side-to-side back door, a bear-sized back door. And as the one who had to sew that back up, I gained a new appreciation for the easy power of a bear. 2, the Teton Wilderness is 585,238 acres with 450 miles of trails. It's a very big place to get lost in. And while I knew how to read a road map, having traversed the length and width of our country more than once, I had no clue how to read the black and blue squiggles that comprise a Forest Service backcountry map. Plus, I had no idea what the last half of the trail even looked out, with its cricks and forks and trails to be picked up on the other side of meadows, thanks to that shortcut my boss took me on. 3, I had chosen Arizona to be my saddle horse because he was the dependable, deliberate sort whose intelligence made me feel safe. I was hoping that he would be smart enough to just run and not take the extra time to buck me off first if we should meet a bear. So are you with me? I wasn't just a little bit scared. I was a whole lot scared. The way out had been different. There was no food in the panniers. The way in, I was loaded with good-smelling stuff. And as a novice, I wasn't sure if I should sing out loud and talk to myself and let the bears know I was coming, like the pamphlets told me to do, or if by singing and yelling, I'd be giving the bears an easy target to hone in on. Human with groceries at 2 o'clock. Roger that, big grizz. Hi. My mind was going round and round with what to do if scenarios. Should I try and run with the whole pack string, or would the horses be safer if it was each for their own? What if Arizona did buck me off? Maybe I should just dismount and climb a tree and sit there until my boss found me. Well, the last one was too humiliating, so I rode on, my mind in a turmoil. We came upon a creek, and I stopped to let the horses drink. I pulled out my map to see where we might be. There was a blue squiggle. Oh, but there was another blue squiggle. Oh, and another blue squiggle. Oh, I could have been at any one of them. No more the wiser, I folded it back up and tucked it in my pocket. The horses all crowded into the clear water while I watched closely to make sure no one got tangled up in lead ropes. Because if that happened, it would mean that I would have to dismount and untangle everybody, which I figured was exactly, of course, when the bear would choose to show up, when I was most vulnerable, on the ground and at the mercy of my 2 wobbly legs, which did not appeal to me. Better to watch them closely. Then Arizona raised his head and stared, motionless, water dripping from his muzzle up the trail. The other 3 horses did the same, all of them silently staring, muzzles dripping from. I looked with them, tense, heart pounding. This was it. The bear was here. I was sure of it. And what would we do? We stared together, all 4 horses and I, up the trail, all of us motionless, all with breath held to hear better, their ears pricked forward, minds straining, listening with every pore of my body. We were one, the horses and I, with the listening. And then the strangest thing happened. The world became absolutely still. It wasn't that the sound was gone. It was still there. The bird song, the wind stirring in the trees, the buzz of flies. But it was like the volume had been turned down, and the noises were behind this incredible stillness. this tangible presence, this feeling of closeness, like the world was wrapping itself around me. It was kind of like hearing the space in between the sounds, or the space that sounds rest on, or maybe like hearing the silence that is holding the sound. And I was no longer afraid. I was just being. And then, like all such gifts, it was over. And it was a gift. Arizona blew softly out of his nose and shook his mane. And with his exhale, sound returned and the moment passed. He grabbed at a tall patch of wild grass, sighed, and chewed contentedly. Dusty took a step forward and nudged my boot. I glanced down at him, and he was looking at me, these deep, penetrating brown liquid eyes penetrating my own. He took another step closer and began rubbing his sweaty head on my leg. And then I understood. I was standing in the middle of a small stream in the most stunningly beautiful country I had ever seen, with 4 of my most favorite creatures on earth. And I had allowed my fear of an unknown and unknowable future to remove any pleasure from the experience. The horses weren't living in fear of a might-be bear with their every step. They were merely walking, one step after another along the dusty trail, being in the moment, being with what was, swiping bites of the tall summer grass in passing, and chewing its sweetness. I saw then that the cage that I had lived in, that I had carried around with me as I moved through life, the cage that had me hurrying on to the next thing and the next, or worrying about what I had or had not done in the past, so much so that I was not ever being where it was that I had gotten to. My attention had been so occupied with the noise in my head, not just then in the mountains, but most of the time, that I had missed scenes of wondrous beauty and experiences that I should have savored. But now I suddenly heard the richness of sound and saw the vividness of life all around me. A tender, sweet joy swept through me, and I felt a rush of love for all that was around me. I became drunk on the beauty around me, the perfection of each sound, the in-the-moment living of the horses. A plane droned overhead, yes, even there in the backcountry, and then vanished in the distant blue. A red-tailed hawk took its place, circling and wheeling on the warm updrafts. Wildflowers bloomed in their full glory. The land around me was a tapestry of various hues of green, accented by delicate yellows and purples, pinks and blues, with a dash here and there of red, a living painter's canvas. It was so full and exquisite, it was almost painful. I closed my eyes and let the horses pull me into their moment-by-moment world. Let the sun kiss my skin, the breeze ruffle my hair, and the trail unfold under our combined feet. So perhaps a long story to share the power of being in the moment, but it was a pivotal moment for me. Before the creek, I had been riding down that trail, and when I wasn't freaking out about a possible bear, I was doubting my capabilities or fretting about something in the past, or I was being everywhere but in the moment. And this experience in the mountains revealed that to me with such clarity. After the creek, I was no longer captive to my fear. I was just present. I still didn't know where I was going. And it wasn't that I didn't care. I just had this knowing that would all be okay. I didn't stop paying attention or just wander wherever. I was aware and present to my surroundings. I still tried to keep on the trail that I had some vague idea that I was supposed to be following. I was present to that and to something more. I had gotten a glimpse of a bigger reality. So why do I share this story with you here today? It goes back to what we as New Thought ministers do every Sunday when we stand up here. It goes back to what each of us do when we sit to meditate or pray our affirmative prayers. We do this to remind ourselves and each other of the truth of who and what we are, that we are bigger than we know. I share this story because, as my daughter said to me, if we're always worrying about the bear, then we live like there's a bear. If we're always worrying about a bear, then we live like there's a bear. I share this story because sometimes it's the unexpected that gifts us with a pivotal moment. In Myrtle's case, it was her illness. She had been given 6 months to live. Talk about focus. In my case, it was intense fear that focused me. I share this story because for me, this was the first time I experienced who and what I truly was. In that moment, when I dropped out of the mental chatter and into the stillness, I was no longer small and limited and full of fear. I was expansive and alive and filled with an awe and a joy and the knowing that I was truly unlimited. I share this story so that perhaps in hearing it, you will take another step towards being free. The modern-day Christian mystic, Father Thomas Keating, said, "The language of God is silence. Everything else is a poor translation." And Unity Minister Reverend Carolyn Mathlin writes that in the midst of all experience, whether we label it spiritual or human, is silence. Silence is the ground of all being. That's what it felt like for me, that gift of a moment. I fell out of fear and into the stillness that is God. I didn't have a New Thought vocabulary for it back then, but now I would say that that moment in the mountains was what Frederick Bales described as turning every last thread of thought to something. Every last thread. In that moment in the Tetons, I had become so focused that it was literally like I was squeezed out of time, out of my smallness and into my largeness. In retrospect, because I was listening for that bear with all of me, with no part left out, no part of my attention aware of anything outside of that moment, I became the listening. And whatever was between me and being fully present fell away. And then I just was. Up until that moment in my life, I had never fully invested my whole self in such a way. Even in meditation, I didn't bring myself fully to the table. The gift of that moment was the experience of being fully present and for the first time getting a glimpse of who and what I really was. Did it last? No. But I carry the memory of the experience with me, knowing that it is possible. Do I try to recreate it? No. Because that would be living in the past. I just continue to show up and listen with all of me, holding space for presence now. When I practice this now, I see that for me, listening morphs into a paying of intense, exquisite attention. When I enter the silence, I find myself listening. It's like a beingness listening, an awareness listening, a stillness listening. Living in the past or fearing an unknown future does not ever, ever reveal the life that we are intended to live. It is only when we fully commit to being present to the moment that we are in do we begin to get a glimpse of what we are capable of. What I've learned since that time is about the strength of our intention. We are so powerful, and yet we scatter our power in the past and in the future worrying about things we have no control over. When we gather ourselves with a truly laser focus, gather our whole selves intentionally and in total alignment, and with the purpose of being a powerful conduit for the life and intelligent activity of God, life works in ways that we can't even imagine. We can do amazing things. For me, on that day in the mountains, I found the forks, and I crossed the creeks, and I skirted the meadows in an incredibly vast wilderness, and found myself all too soon at the Forest Service cabin. And over the next 3 years that I worked in the Teton Wilderness, with its 585,238 acres and 450 miles of trails, I never once saw a bear. I invite you to close your eyes with me. If you are willing, I invite you to lean into my words and let them guide you to an experience of presence. The silence is a place where we can retreat to find our center again, to catch our breath, to remember the truth of who and what we are. It's what Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore calls a kind of stillness, a place of retreat into which we may enter, and having entered, may know the truth. The stillness is a place to listen to God, and as the stillness settles into us, to find clarity and inspired action. I think it behooves us to ask ourselves the questions: do we truly bring ourselves fully to the spiritual table? Do we fully invest in this work? How often do we truly bring our full attention into our meditation or our spiritual practice? How often is there some little pocket of something else going on and we know it, and yet we let it be there? We have excuses for it, reasons for it. Some thought we don't want to forget. It's important. A door that we leave cracked just in case this stuff doesn't work. Some little cloud or pocket of reservation that we hang on to just in case this doesn't work. Just in case this isn't true. Then we won't be disappointed, and that part of us will be right. That need to be right and the fear of failure might be stronger than the willingness to fully commit and risk perhaps not being right. That little pocket of reservation, that back door, that withhold, it doesn't keep us safe. It keeps us trapped. That reservation, that withhold, it is what is between you and the glorious expression of the fullness of life as you. So no withholds, no backdoors, no escape plans today, just listening, fully present. Take a breath, and as you inhale, gather yourself and bring yourself fully to this moment, to the right here and now. And as you exhale, allow your body to settle down, to become quiet. Breathe gently in again, gathering yourself, and then out again, settling. And continue, allowing each breath to bring more and more of your attention and focus and awareness to this moment. And as you sit, just listen. Open your heart. Open as much as you can, and soften, and listen with your whole being. Listen with all of your attention. Listen with intensity. Listen with focus. Don't permit an exception. Just listen. No excuses. Just listen. Know with me that there is only one substance and we are made of it. If there is only one, and there is only one, there can be nothing outside of the one. So we are of this God substance because we cannot not be. Know with me that the very substance of what we are is love, is harmony, is wisdom, is intelligence. Know with me that the power of that which tosses planets around in the galaxies with perfect ease and precision is the same power that surges through us, keeping all in perfect harmony. Know with me that the same intelligence that keeps intelligence that is in and guides every cell of our bodies. Know with me that the love and the wisdom that are intrinsic to the very nature of the one life that lives us all is one and the same as that which opens our hearts and guides all that we do. Breathe. Let this be so. Uninvest in any old fear which would tell you otherwise. Take a chance. Put all of your eggs in the basket of this moment. Make yourself fully available to that which you cannot be separate from anyway. Be fully present. And from this deep place of stillness, let this knowing birth our thoughts, guide the words we choose to express them with, and the actions inspired by our thoughts. And so it is.
Thank you, Reverend Nina. Thank you. Thank you for taking us to such a beautiful place, both by the picture in my mind and in many minds, I'm sure, but to the sense of that which we cannot see. You bring it home beautifully. Thank you. I want to thank the Winterlings again for the support that they've provided for us today for our service. If you are a member in good standing who would like to be considered for a 3-year term of service on Unity in Lynnwood's Board of Trustees, please write Dr. Richard directly for the job description and an application. And please consider joining a prayer chaplain for a time of divine wholeness, meaning a time of allowing another to simply hold the highest truths of you during a few minutes of silence following this service. A link will appear in your chat window. If you would like to pray by telephone, please write prayer@unityinlynnwood.org now and expect a call from an anonymous number. All are welcome. We pause each week about this point in our service to provide the opportunity for us to offer our financial support to this community and in support of its good work in the world. You will see on your screen instructions for making a gift by text, the text to give message, or through our website. Perhaps as we are offering our gifts today, we can think of ourselves as catalytic givers. As catalysts, our actions inspire similar actions in the world around us. It may be in the giving of a financial gift. It may be in giving of our caring, our time and attention, our support, our company to people in need of those things. Today, we are grateful to honor ourselves as givers and always, always with deep gratitude that we are the humble recipients of a bountiful universe. Our gifts are given with deep love and gratitude, and so it is.
All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. All that I am, I offer at the altar of love. In sweet
To register for all events, either visit the website or click on a link provided. Unity in Lynnwood Social Group hosts a redesigned Zoom stew this evening at 6 p.m. Share a meal, Zoom style, with Unity in Lynnwood loved ones and newcomers alike. Share recipes even, and stay home for some family-friendly Zoom games. Please register. All are welcome. This is the last Sunday to register for this weekend's virtual women's retreat with Ricky Byers. This will not be a 2-day screen stare. There will be group conversations, experiences, and breakouts. Embrace this opportunity for self-care and spiritual expansion by creating a sacred space at home, or perhaps by renting a space with a COVID buddy, for example, an Airbnb or a motel room. The cost of the retreat is only $75. While your Board of Trustees has extended the cancellation of on-site events through September, we are tentatively planning to allow 12 guests into the Sunday services in October. This opportunity will be offered by reservation only and facilitated by reserved seating. Pre-screening questions, no-touch temperature checks, distanced parking, masking, distancing, and sanitizing are among the protocols which will be communicated in advance and expected of everyone present. In closing, we ask your understanding of this offering as something of a beta test. A decision about subsequent months will be made in October based on the circumstances unfolding.
Wow. Thank you, everybody who made today possible. Reverend Linda Babin, predicting something there. Linda Babin, our AV crew. Oh, thank you, everybody, the Winterlings. And for our Unity and Lynnwood and guests online family, will you join me in a time of closing prayer? We'll close our service together. And I just want to say that even though we're not physically in the same room, there is no time and space in God. We are all connected by virtue of consciousness. So knowing that, know with me that together today, we have created a high vibration of love, of wisdom, of a beautiful, high vibrating healing energy. And so if there is anybody at this moment in time that you would like, that you're thinking of, that's in your heart, that you would like to invite to be with us in consciousness in this beautiful collective soup of divinity together, go ahead and say their name right where you are, knowing that their energy, that this energy that we have created will also envelop them. And will you join me also? And perhaps a little more of a commitment to stop worrying about the bear so that we don't live like there's a bear. Will you join me in knowing as deeply as we can in this moment, with as much of our attention that we can garner in this moment, the truth of who and what we are? Allow yourself to ramp up that intentionality and that focus and that commitment to knowing and being and stepping into that stillness, to allowing yourself to be fully present. Let us do that together so that through and as all of us, something beautiful and nurturing and loving and wise is birthed into this world. And so it is. And now the Winterlings will close our service with a sung benediction. Thank you for being here.
It's been a joy to be with you all today. Send you on your way with this one. May the Lord